Welcome to the In My Opinion show with Ronald, Barry Robinson, and friends, seen on the internet 24 hours, 7 days a week. I want to welcome our millions of viewers worldwide, but I especially want to welcome this very talented, my very talented co-host, Miss Denise Smith-Allen.
Hi, Ron.
Miss Jackie Williams.
Hi, Ron.
And Mr. Henry Hatter.
Hi, Ron.
Welcome all to the In My Opinion show. Let's talk about something that's very, 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 very troubling. All the child murders that have been going on around the country, and especially the heinous act that was put upon a young 13-year-old in Detroit recently. My thing is, should the death penalty in Michigan be reinstated? It was taken off the books prior to the 1800s, and prior to that, when the English and the France occupied Michigan, they murdered mostly all Native Americans, mostly in the Upper Peninsula. Denise, what is your thoughts?
Wow, to jump right into that. Well, it's unfortunate, absolutely, that this terrible act to this young child at 13 years of age, and the fact that what was to me troubling to learn that, number one, it was caught on tape that this child was abducted, and number two, after the child was abducted, there was no Amber Alert. There was nothing put on our phones, because I know we have gotten a few Amber alerts here lately within the last few weeks, where they've had a couple of abductions. And so this was troubling. And then, of course, to learn that this child was murdered, and basically was because of money being taken. There's a lot to be said about this whole thing, but as it relates to the death penalty, I have issues with the death penalty, both pro and con. Certainly, the person who did this heinous act certainly should be brought to justice. If we put that person in prison, the taxpayers will have to pay for their upkeep for the rest of their lives if he's convicted of first-degree murder. On the other hand, as a Christian, you look at the fact that we're taught, thou shalt not kill. So, taking his life, well, what would that do for us? That would certainly, stop him from killing somebody else, perhaps. But the point is, then the blood is on our hands. So, we have a long way to go with that whole thing. But if it became law, then certainly we would have to follow the law.
Well, I certainly would save the taxpayers of Michigan literally thousands of dollars. I think, what is the yearly around $40,000 per
at least
per
yes.
prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
So if they live another 50 years, Jackie, what's your thoughts?
Well, I'm kind of on the fence as well. This story is very sad in all aspects of the story. It's sad because he was in that situation, and our moral compass is just not being taught correctly. This guy was outside doing his personal business, and he dropped his money, and this little boy and his cousin saw him, and they took the money, and he waited on them to come back. So we want to make sure that we deal with all the facts. The little boy's hands weren't clean, because we should teach our children that if somebody drops some money or anything like that, you should do what's right and give it back to them, not to take for them, because there's consequences of our actions. And not stating at all that it was worth killing him, but he lost his life over $75, and I'm sure it wasn't worth that. But to kill someone else to pay for that, I just think that two wrongs don't make a right. So if this man did, probably will be prosecuted for killing him. So do we kill him? So then we both are murderers. So I disagree with the death penalty. However, in states where they do have the death penalty, they have less murders, they have less crime. So it's something that might need to be looked at.
You know, and then also too, some time ago, another little child was murdered, shot through in his eye by his father. Okay, he's now in prison in the state of Michigan someplace. You know, America was born on violence. All right, from the Mayflower all the way up to present. And if I was in charge, these two incidences had been a bullet in the back of the head, plain and simple. Get it over with. Because I mean, if you send them to prison, they may kill somebody else in prison. Who knows what they might do? But I would take them options away. Henry, what is your thoughts?
Well, Ron, I kind of like the lady's position, both on this position. And what makes you think that you can morally decide to keep somebody alive because the Bible says thou shalt not kill? You take on a tremendous amount of responsibility. And that the public is not willing to accept. The public, and even in the Bible, they talked about vengeance. And they did have vengeance. But there are only a few things that I'm willing to call the death penalty for. And one is child molestation, rape, and murder. I hate that more than anything else. Particularly when children are abducted and raped and murdered. That's one that I cannot, I don't think that any human being should live with. But in this case, Jackie pointed out so well. She said the young boy's hands were not clean. She said something very courageous. Now most of us want to hide that and say, oh, it's just a child. But I would have never been killed this way, because if I saw money that way, my parents would have never encouraged me to pick up anybody's money if he was bigger than I was, or he left it there.
I'd have picked it up.
I would have never picked it up. I would have left it there, honest to God. I would not have touched it. Particularly if the guy is bigger than I am. And if he's urinating in the park, he's doing what he do, and your law can't touch him. That means he's a mean person. And you want to be careful. But I do think that as there are things that we need to make exceptions for the death penalty. But then the courts have to get it right. Exactly. You cannot go out and kill someone just because, and I think of the O.J. Simpson trial, and that lieutenant who had conducted an investigation and called the O.J. the really magical names and stuff like that, and had talked in private about how worthless, or to some degree, I don't remember all the conversation, but you can recall that. Now, and I was one of the people who believed that O.J. was guilty, and yet when I heard that, I completely lost interest. Because it was no longer just. I thought we were pursuing justice, and but I lost that. But getting back on the subject, there are things, and the government has to be blind. We have to have justice without exception or without any doubt. And like some of the things I've seen, even recently, have not been intended to be just, but to be punitive. And we should be beyond that. So I would say only for a few things I would accept the death penalty as something that I would support.
Well, I just want to say something in response to something that you said earlier about what you say. It's in the Bible. What it says is that vengeance is mine, said the Lord, and I will repay. So I am not going to go off on a tangent about religion so much as to say that, as you mentioned, the court system, the judicial system, if we're going to have laws in place, because right now we say no death penalty in Michigan. Okay, so if we reinstitute it, we have to reinstitute it that it is balanced across the board.
Right.
It has to be balanced. Otherwise, we're going to set ourselves up for the same stuff that we have already dealt with. And we don't want to repeat history.
No, we don't want that.
Okay.
We've seen too much of it.
And speaking of murder, let's take this back to Michigan. In Flint, Michigan, allegedly 12 people have died. They call it Legionnaire's disease. All right? Now, I always go to the top. In my opinion, in my book, Governor Snyder is a murderer. Okay? He is sicking literally thousands of folk. But we're talking about murder, so we'll stay on that. If there's a death penalty, if it's reinstated, he should be in that group too.
You know, Ron, you know what's wrong with your argument?
Nothing.
You're overreaching. You could make your point and win if you didn't overreach. If you just said there were, I wouldn't call it murder, but maybe negligence. So other people who are on the fence will join you. Oh well.
Maybe one or two might be negligence, but you got like 12.
But you don't say murder.
And there's more. And
yeah.
there's more.
You didn't ask him if he murdered people. And it's been no.
Dead is dead.
That's it.
Well, dead is dead, but murder
You know what I
is usually there's degrees of murder. First degree is intentional. Second degree is not. Okay, negligent homicide is in another category. Okay, and so there's criteria that falls into place there. So when I hear that, you might go better with negligent homicide as opposed to that, because like I said, murder evokes extreme emotion,
Right.
you know, and that's not what we're here to do. We want justice. We want justice for those persons who died because Flint basically was overlooked, you know. I mean, we're still talking about the death penalty, so I don't want us to get off track here. But as it relates to that whole thing, it was just a series of negligence. As I say, it's benign neglect. It's just like, you know, okay, we don't care about what's going on over there. Okay, so these things happen. So now the spotlight is on. And so what do you do with that? Okay, so here we have an opportunity, and hopefully all the players are in place. You still have your state prosecutor, you have your local prosecutor, you have people who are in place, and they need to look at the evidence. And if the evidence is presented, all of it, the way it's supposed to be, there's still going to be some people who are going to be held accountable. And to the degree that they're held accountable will be depending on what they're charged with. Okay.
Well, let's charge them with all three of them. Maybe one will stick.
Yeah, perhaps, but then you don't look. You don't want to look ridiculous either.
Right.
Yeah, you want to get the
present
people on the fence to join your cause.
Oh, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
there are a lot of people that are just in the middle. They don't know which way to go. And they want justice, but they're not sure.
Yeah.
But they don't want to go to the total right.
Right.
They want to make sure that. But I never really agree with Henry. So Henry, this is a day. So
Okay.
you made a very good point.
Okay.
Well,
circle the date, Henry. Circle
But
the
he made a
date.
good
Oh,
point.
let me do that. Write it in my
when you
rubber
try
coat.
to get people to join you, you have to make sure that you appeal to the people that will support you. So for you to say that Snyder is a murderer, you can't say that. You could just say that he's responsible for being negligent in so many degrees. Because they just came back with a report that says they need more time. You know, they need more time to figure out how to charge these people or whatever they're going to charge them with. And some of the people that are already being charged, they got more charges. So they're trying to figure out how they're going to work that out.
You know, here's where the people who make these assessments against the governor get it wrong. They said the water was poisoned. It's not poisoned. The water didn't meet state standards. And so there was an overreach there. Now, who's going to believe that? And there are people talking about eugenics and what did they call it when they kill people?
Genocide.
Genocide.
Yeah.
All of that stuff is surfaced. And none of it is driving the thought process and putting the trial, putting this issue on trial in the public.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to do that.
Right.
You want to get the public on your side. Line them up. Like
Now, they did say, let me just go here and see, it didn't take that long, Henry. We were together, but we're not together anymore.
Okay.
They did say that the people that were in position did change information on those tests. You know, they didn't do
And they should be in jail.
Right, exactly. So they did change information because they knew what was required and they failed to do it, but they wrote down that they did do it. So if I accidentally forget something, then that's different as opposed to me knowing that
willfully. Willfully.
So that's when you become, I mean, you know, that's what, I don't want that to take too long because it doesn't take a scientist to figure out that they're guilty.
Well, there's no argument between you and me, or Denise, or Ron on that.
Well, I think again, when you talk about any of that, it's all about the emotional response. You know, again, you don't want to inflame anybody on either side. You want to present fact and let them come to a position without, like I said, stoking the flames of, you know, where I'm angry. Yes, I'm angry. Any resident in the city of Flint who has been exposed to this is angry. Some people are depressed. Some people have lost hair and also had lesions and different things like that. And those people should be compensated at some point. But again, like I said, we have to make sure that the information is balanced, that we give information that is accurate, test results that are proven. So when it goes to court, there is going to be no way that if they want to say, well, we want to go ahead and challenge this. Okay, but the positions should be so locked down. Everything should be solid. That they don't have an opportunity to go back and say, well, you know, we want to retry or we want to have another hearing about this or anything like that. No, due process be in place. People have been harmed and they need to be compensated, and that's just that. And so those things need to be in such a way, presented in such a way, like I said, so we don't have, you know, all of this stuff going on. Because to take it, and I didn't want to take it outside of this whole thing about the death penalty, but I want to talk about just a minute about what's going on with these rallies with Trump. See, now you've got, you know, all of this anger that has been stoked, and now you have people fighting with each other. Now, when have we had where it was so hard to go to a rally, whether you are for or against the individual? That's what makes America great. You have an opportunity to go where you want to go. Listen to, if you're a Klans person, you can go and do that. Okay? Now, if they go and say you can't have your permit, that's the law that says you can't have your permit. But you're not fighting about it. People are not, you know, going to the streets fist to cuff like they're doing now. All of that has happened as a result of the inflammatory language, and people are already on edge. So we have to be careful. Yes, we all have our opinions, and I think it's important that we express them, but we just need to know that language is very powerful. Very powerful.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. And Ron, may I just add to Denise's remarks here? In recent weeks, we have heard from Bill Schuette, and the United States Attorney, who now says, Governor, slow down. Do not conduct any more studies until we position ourselves. Because there's no thought process to what we're doing. There's madness. Trying to get all of this stuff. We don't even have the money to even correct all of the lines that needed to be corrected, like what was reported in the EPA reports. We gotta go back and take a look at it. And people need to know that it's everybody's responsibility. You just don't overreact, like you said, Denise, and you, of course, Jackie. We need to have a comprehensive plan that will serve all of the American people. And that's through a tax levy on all of the American people to repair the infrastructure. The infrastructure should be repaired every 50 years. And that's by BOCA codes, the building industry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my take on Snyder, him doing his little so-called investigations and so forth. That's just, I think, just a move to throw people off track. All right, in my opinion, just a move to throw people off a track and muddy up the waters. All right, so tell me, how come? I'm wondering, how come the United States Congress has not subpoenaed him to testify before them?
He was there.
He did. I was there.
He was there.
I was in Washington.
I'm not talking about. I'm talking about here because he under oath.
He did.
He did.
When was that?
March.
2 or 3? Yeah.
March.
He was there 2 days.
March 5th.
Then why is the guy that's conducting the interview saying that he was less than honest?
Well, you can say anything, depending on whose side. If you're on, depending on whose side you're on.
Yeah, it's on the internet. It was actually a very good interview because they asked him all, because they submitted all the letters from the city council, and Sheldon Neely was one of the main letters that they read, and it was just talking about, correcting some of the information they had before them. I mean, and they wore him out for hours, and he had his attorney there. And that's probably why he's exhausted all the money that we've given him for law fees, because he has no more money for law.
Why should the taxpayers have to pay him?
Because he's serving in the interest of the people.
No, he's serving for himself.
Ron, if you serve in state government and you are a policymaker, you are, what did he call it?
Crooked?
No. What did he call it when you're immune?
Immunity. Government immunity.
Yeah, they call it something else too. If you serve in that position, like I serve, if I serve as the president of the Clive Board of Education, and I err in judgment on something, that I am assured that I have an attorney paid by the Board of Education to protect them. Because you can't go out protecting people, taking risks, doing this and that, and having people who are on the board lying up against you, one side or the other. You must have some assurance or protection that you will get due process.
Well, I don't think people have a problem with the basics, but the point is, how is it that your help came real fast and our help still haven't come? See, that's the issue, because you were able to allot money to get his attorneys, and I mean, what was it, 2.1? What was it?
I don't know the figure.
But so it was a lot of money. I think it was $6,400 a day. So my point is, speaking to the hearts of Flint, how is it that your money came right on time and you didn't have to wait through all this process to get your legal
Because
team?
it was there as a governor. That money is set aside.
No, it wasn't set aside.
It would be for you too if you were the governor.
If you look at the,
assured
I understand it, but if you look at how they did it, it was not set aside. He moved some money, sir.
Okay, but he has his own personal money too.
But he didn't use his
Then he
personal
should use it.
Yeah.
He didn't use it.
But I'm just telling you that anybody who serves.
I mean, I have no
like
problem with
Denise.
that.
Denise, you are protected, aren't you?
Protected? What do you mean? For
Protected. For the job that you do for the state.
what? For the state? Yes, to some degree,
They
yes.
just can't come in and jerk you around because you make the decisions every day.
Right.
And one of them may be erroneous, or someone look at it differently and take you to court, and your department set aside money to defend you.
That's
I
correct.
don't have a problem with that. You're missing what I'm saying, Henry. We don't have a problem with that. What I'm saying is he took additional money, and they talked about that in the hearing, to protect himself because the legal fees were very, very expensive.
It had
And
to
all
be
I'm-
legal. It had to be legal.
It doesn't
So,
have to be legal.
It's
But
not
anyway,
an argument.
okay,
If
but
you're
what
talking,
I'm
if
saying
you're talking about
is-
legal funds, that's it. There's no argument.
Okay, but the point I'm making is for his help to come so fast, because he saw that he was sinking real fast. His help came right away. Well, Flint is sinking.
Yeah.
So
That's a big
they
problem.
feel like they have been let down, because when he needed something, even though he was at the forefront of this problem, he was able to be rescued
You
right
gotta
away.
remember that the system that Flint faced, these water pipes have been here since 19.
That don't have anything to do with
Yes,
you
it
not treating
does.
them correctly. That doesn't have anything to do with you not treating them correctly.
Treating who?
Treating the water correctly.
Oh, the water.
Yes.
This is what this is all about.
Remember?
Well, let's see.
Back to you,
Hang
Lou.
on. Yeah, she has a point there, but I didn't see that. When your infrastructure is leaking, you're always getting inputs from contaminated sources. It's
Well,
never
that may be true, Henry, but the point still being, once you are aware
Yeah.
Awareness is key. And the people who are the key players who became aware of something and then, let us say, allegedly at this point, changed some things, doctored the documents so as to make things look favorable, and they weren't.
You're talking to the choir.
Okay, well, this is all I'm saying, and this is what everyone is, up in arms about, upset about, because this was an intentional act. And because it was intentional, there should be some remedy, and it should be quick. We shouldn't have to wait 5 years for this thing to come to a head and some heads to roll.
Intentional act since the city council made the decision.
They did not.
Listen, they made some decisions, but you must remember, still they were under an emergency manager.
Why?
Why were they under the emergency manager? We're going to rehash that again about the mismanagement of funds. Okay.
We're on the same page.
I got that part. I got that part. But the point still being, water is a right.
No,
a
it's
human
not a right.
Yes, it is. In America,
human right.
It's a human right
It's
in
not
America.
a right.
Yes,
the only
it is.
rights are the freedom of the freedoms under the Constitution.
The freedom to have clean water from the Clean
Stop
Water
and think about
Act. The Clean Water Act provides that for us. The Clean Water Act.
It
Remember
doesn't-
that?
it
You remember that?
doesn't-
You forgot about that too. The Clean Water Act.
No,
Remember?
you guys are screwing stuff.
No,
around
no, no,
here.
no, no, no.
You're stirring
No,
up stuff.
you
that
thought we
doesn't-
weren't in the United
just
States.
you just have to remember there are laws and then there are sub laws, and we can go on infinitum about the laws that protect the people,
Right.
along with the Constitution. The Constitution is the frame,
Yeah.
and then there are all these
We're on
things
the same
inside.
I'm sorry, Ron. I
You
just
sure?
have to take them to the fence on this one.
Well,
You can't
see,
take us to the
we-
fence.
we-
I
I
already got you on
We're
the
about to go to the backyard.
Look,
Okay,
I'll meet you in the parking lot. You know me.
I thought you have a 57.
No, look, I ain't got nothing to do with it.
Real
My
quickly,
shoes become weapons. I thought you knew.
real quickly. Texas Board of Education wants to remove the word slaves in the curriculum and replace it with unpaid interns. Jackie, what's your thoughts?
Unpaid
I have never heard of that, but
It's there.
Just
That's
make
horrible.
me feel good about myself.
Unpaid
Because I was a slave.
That's-
My grandparents was a slave.
that makes you feel good. You
That
were
makes
unpaid.
me. Well, I don't know. That was not the part.
Were you unpaid? Were you
We were
unpaid
defined
intern?
as slaves. Okay.
See, Henry,
Yeah,
I'm gonna need
we
you to
were
land
decided.
your boat. Listen.
Okay.
No, they were not
And-
unpaid intern. Interns are treated nicely.
Right.
They have
Interns were
benefits. They have
house
some of them
people.
get paid. What?
They were the house slaves.
But if you look that up, it'll make you sick to the stomach about
Oh, I can't wait to see
what this
that.
person is advocating. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're revisionists. They're revisionists. They want to revise the
Because you don't
whole
want to deal with
historical
life. You don't want to
framework.
deal with what you
Yeah,
really did.
and in
Yeah.
denial.
Yeah.
In
Exactly.
denial.
That's what it is.
Okay, so
Straight
moving-
up,
wrote
straight
it?
up.
Is this word written by a black or a white?
I don't.
It doesn't matter.
Yes,
Whoever
it
did
does.
this wrong.
Right.
It's wrong. It'd be written by either.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. He went on to say.
Because I don't
That,
think
It taught slaves to network. You know what I mean? From one cut and roll to the next, I guess. That's
So they were selling stuff. Get out of
Okay.
here.
what they was talking about. But anyway, that's on the internet. Just Texas Board of Education, slaves,
We need to
etc.,
come back to
etc.
that one and let us read up on it. Yeah, we need to come back to
Okay.
that one.
See, this is
At this
where-
time, this has been a great conversation, but we must bring this show to a close. But I want to thank our millions of viewers worldwide and our technical staff and our co-hosts. This is Ronald Bay Robinson and friends saying, until next time, stay focused.